So far, we have only toggled a single element and applied transitions and animations to it. As I mentioned earlier, we can only transition one element at a time with the transition component. Notice that I said at a time, because this is important. This doesn't mean that you cannot have multiple elements within a transition component, but rather that only one should be in the DOM at a time. Therefore, it's perfectly valid to switch between elements with the vif and velse directives. So let's see an example of that. So I have a component here which contains a fade transition for a paragraph element, which we have seen before. Instead of just having this single paragraph, I want to add another one, which will be displayed when the show data property is false. So let's add another paragraph. And as for the text, I'll write nothing to see here and use the velse directive. With this, we only ever have one paragraph rendered at the same time, which means that this works fine together with the transition component. Let's see what it looks like in the browser. So the correct elements are rendered, but we don't see the fade animation. Why not? The only difference is that we added an additional element to the transition component. The problem here is that our two elements have the same tag, meaning that they are both paragraphs. Remember the previous lecture where I showed you the v4 directive's update strategy and how Vue replaces the contents of elements as a performance optimization. Well, this is actually what's causing us problems in this case. Vue doesn't remove and insert a new paragraph when clicking the button. Instead, it replaces the text and reuses the paragraph to avoid touching the DOM again. This is why you will not experience this problem if the elements have different tag names. Do you remember how we solved it in the previous lecture? By adding a key attribute with a unique value, and we can do the same in this case. So I'll add a key attribute to both paragraphs. I'll just name this one lorem ipsum. It can be anything you want, and you can of course also use the vbind directive if you need to. And this one I'll just call nothing around here. And like I said, since I only have two elements in this case, I just added the attribute with a string value. Time to open up the browser once again and see the difference. Awesome, now the fade transition works. But we have also created a new problem, because now the elements are jumping around again, because the second paragraph is visible before the first one disappears, and vice versa. Let's see how we can fix that in the next lecture.